Okay, our next Eliminator 8 driver to join us here today is Denny Hamlin, and he drives the number 11 FedEx Office Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Denny, you've won twice here at Texas. You've won at Phoenix. You got 2 races to go before the Championship 4 lineup is set at Homestead, Miami, which, oh, by the way, you've won there too. Just talk about your outlook now as the season is coming to a crescendo.
Well, we're in a decent spot, not a great spot. Obviously, last week kind of let one slip away a little bit there, but still had a decent showing, and we go to a track here where we ran really good in the spring. Even though the finish don't show it, we led some laps here and was pretty competitive. So looking forward to that. All these tracks obviously have been good for us. So still got to just keep grinding away and keep getting good finishes every week. And when you can try to take advantage and get a win, you'll do that.
Questions now for Denny. Back to the back, Wolfgang, and then Tom, and then Alan. We'll get these two over here.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. After the first practice, your second best Toyota at 12th, and Wickers is in the front. Despite he's running for a rival team, are you consulting with each other to find some improvement on the car for the qualifying?
Well, we can ask them. I doubt they'll tell us. We worked well with those guys at MWR with various things, and the crew chiefs talk a lot, and there's a good relationship there. But overall, I don't think there's any setups exchanged or anything like that. We're not quite at that level yet, but still, it's encouraging to see that these our cars are capable, or the motors are capable of running that type of speed, which is good. And we've shown it in qualifying quite a bit. I think the higher RPM helps us, but overall, it's just going to keep working on. We're decent in race trim today, and but it's still too early to kind of tell where we really need to be. And the guys that qualify up front aren't necessarily the guys that are going to be racing for the win either. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Let's go to Tom Jensen.
Hey, Denny, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Jimmy Johnson was in here earlier and was asked about the championship format, and he said it's not really for the drivers, it's unnatural for us, but it's for the fans, and what the fans like to see is wrecks and emotion. How is this chase format for you as a driver, and do you agree that what the fans really want to see are wrecks?
It's a fine balance. I don't completely disagree with anything he said there. I mean, I think that this format was, I think, put together for the fans. If it was drivers, we'd base it off of a 36-week year. We want the entire year to be a part of the picture, but it's a green-white checkered every 3 races for the race fans. Anything can happen. So this is we keep resetting points and things like that, and obviously this year it's really helped us make it through and keep giving us a shot at a championship. But when you have a short season, 3-race season like that, you allow the possibility of some of your guys that have dominated the entire year having one bad race and then not being part of the championship. So it's I don't know if it's what the fans wanted, but it's what the fans have gotten. I think that really it's been pretty exciting it should be exciting from the fan standpoint. I mean, the last lap at Talladega, it was who was in, who was out, and I'm sure Phoenix will be the same. So it'll be exciting, but it is tough to say that we would want it this way if we had to choose.
Let's go to Alan.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. Denny, last week you finished 8th, and you're still out of the top 4. That wasn't good enough to be in the top 4. Were you surprised by that standard, and will that standard, do you feel, continue in the next 2 races?
It'll continue. I think the top 8 in points are the guys that are in the chase still continue to get faster. Not only that, but it seems like the guys on the racetrack give the chase guys a little bit more of a break here and there. We just see it as the season winds down. The guys that are part of the championship continue to run up front more and more and push themselves more and more separate from the field every single week. So We saw it with Tony and Carl in 2011 or whatever year that was. So it'll continue that trend, and you're gonna have to run top 5 each one of these last weeks, or we will if we're gonna make it in on points. If we're not gonna win.
Back in the left corner, Drew.
Drew Davison with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. When you kind of look at this chase, Jeff Gordon might be like the biggest name left. Do you kind of feel like he's a sentimental favorite, and how big of a threat is he to win it all right now?
Well, they've shown the speed to definitely make it all the way to Homestead, and obviously have a shot to win that race. Yeah, I mean, he's got the most experience for sure. I think way back in the day, it used to be fans either loved him or hated him. Now I think most people like Jeff because he's the veteran and he's the names that they recognize. But overall, I think that anyone's got a fair shot at this. But they've obviously shown the speed week in, week out to separate themselves as one of those true favorites after last weekend.
Go ahead right there, sir.
Joey Barnes, Tribute Racing. Denny, with next year's Cup rules package looking similar to the current nationwide rules and the testing ban, do you see a premium being placed on getting into more Xfinity races next season?
I'm not sure yet. Possibly, but overall, I don't particularly like running those races a whole lot. They take away from my Cup effort, I believe, even though statistics may show you that I'm probably the best when it comes to when I race on Saturday. It performs how I perform on Sunday. I just feel like it doesn't help that much, but with the new rules package, with the horsepower being taken out of the Cup cars, it may be a benefit, but it's kind of yet to be seen.
We'll go to Bob and then to Jerry.
Bob Hacker, Sporting News. Do you have any sort of point total in your...
Where is everyone?
I'm here. Do you have any point total in your head that you'd like to be leaving here kind of as far as a cushion about like third or fourth? Knowing that anything can happen at Phoenix, but at least knowing that if you kind of perform what you expect at Phoenix, you'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I would go into Phoenix comfortable if I ran top 3 here. If not, of course, a win, forgetting that part of it. But a top 3 here, I think, would be good for us, knowing that we could go to Phoenix and have probably a top 8 to 9 day and make it on points. But who knows? If it's one of these chasers that wins the race, you continue to eliminate more and more on points. So, but I'd definitely be satisfied with a top 3 day, and we could move on from there.
Jerry, right here.
Denny, Jerry Fraley, Dallas Morning News. Watching from the outside, it seems that the intensity has lifted increased in each of the first 2 rounds in race 2. Have you noticed that? And B, could it be that people don't want to go into that third race in a bind and having hit a Hail Mary, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, what happens in the third race is totally dictated by what happened in the first 2, and all the intensity that you've seen on some of these cutoff races is because some guys have had some issues the first 1 to 2 races of this cutoff, and we did the same thing. Luckily, the bad race so far that we've had in the chase was New Hampshire, where there were 16 guys, so the others kind of eliminated themselves with me in having a bad race that kept us in. But in this format, if you have a bad race, you have to win one of the other races. You just can't have a bad race and think that the other 6 or 7 are going to have a bad week as well. Just not in a 3-race season. There's going to be at least 4 guys that are going to have solid finishes throughout the entire 3 races and not have issues. So, like I say, as this keeps getting cut off, it keeps getting, intensity is higher, and people get frustrated more because they know that their entire season comes down to 1 flat tire or 1 wreck in 1 race, and so we become frustrated by that.
Let's go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Looking back to 2010, if you are one of those 4 guys going into Homestead, what would you do differently this year than what you did in 2010 from, a maturation standpoint, just, looking at the big picture type of deal?
It was a lot different then than what it is now. Now I think you have to go the mentality of you have to win that final race to be a champion. And every team has that aspiration when they leave the race shop every week, but some know it's more realistic than others. But I feel like if you're part of that championship four now, you have to know that you can win if you want to win a championship. In 2010, we went in with a fairly minimal lead. I think we had to finish within 3 spots of Jimmy that weekend, and just had a bad weekend overall. And for some reason, I just never felt it that entire weekend, whether it be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. None of the days just felt right at all. And with that, it wasn't nerves or anything. It just some days you feel it, some days you don't. And for whatever reason, we've gotten so far now in this year's chase that I feel like the expectations aren't set as high as what they were in 2010. We had won so many races that year that everyone expected us to go out there and win. And I feel like now we're kind of, on that house money type thing where, people aren't expecting us to be here. So we're kind of just, everywhere we go from here on out is a bonus. And I feel like we've had an off year with our race teams and our cars, and everything has been not nearly as stellar as it was in 2010. So if we can somehow pull off an upset this year, it would be way more gratifying than if we won in 2010, where we kind of dominated and won all the races.
And being a guy who won Homestead last year, and you're in victory lane, but the bigger celebration is out on the front stretch. What is that, split like? Knowing that the bigger picture, the bigger championship is going on, but you're still the guy that won the race, and, you're kind of an afterthought at Homestead.
It's just part of it, and anytime you have a format like what we have, it's very, very possible. And I think that this format will possibly eliminate that. We don't know that for sure, but it's just part of it. It is bad as it kind of sucks that you are sharing a stage, and when you're celebrating, it also is a great feeling knowing that you've won the last race, and you get to keep that for a few months. So, the couple times that I've won Homestead, it's, even though I haven't been part of the championship both of those years, it was still just as gratifying. Obviously, if you're part of the championship picture this year and you're in victory lane, you're sitting pretty good, and you're celebrating double. So it's setting itself up to be a weekend like that this year.
Final question.
Denny, Stan Creekmore from CompetitionPlus.com. I want to take you back to your very first question, if I will, because I remember you up there in the Richmond area racing every year in the whole 9 yards and paying attention to stock car racing at the top levels and everything. Did you have any complaints about the points back then that you would like, and you were saying to yourself then, oh, I wish it was changed so that, one of my more favorite drivers could win this chase?
No, definitely not. But, we've just become so spoiled with everything. Everything. Our phones aren't fast enough. Our computers aren't fast enough, even though they get faster every single year. Nothing is ever good enough for us. And so, I feel like, this format, when it came out, I actually thought, this is a great thing. And really, other sports have playoffs, and even though some fans may not like it because Dale Jr.'s out or Jimmy Johnson's out at this point, it's no different than their favorite team that dominates the regular season and wins the first playoff game. They're out of it. It's just part of sports, and not. We were one of the only sports that used to have an entire year compiled into who was going to be the champion. Now we're just like everyone else is. So I think they did the right thing with this new format, and I think it's a good thing. And the fans, looking back after this year is done, is going to realize that this is a great thing for our sport, and it's obviously going to make us continue to grow. And this is a format that's going to be around for a very, very long time.
Denny, thank you for coming in, and good luck this weekend at Texas.
All right.